I cannot encourage you enough. Join us at 6:30. We get phenomenal diabetes-specific workouts in that, as you can see, I am absolutely dripping in sweat, and I can't wait for you to join me. Now, tonight's diabetes talk is a very, very important topic. What we're going to be talking about is how insulin affects weight loss and weight gain. And this is an extremely important topic that's relevant to anybody living with diabetes. I'm going to break down how the presence of insulin impacts your body's ability to metabolize fat, and I'm also going to put that into context for both type 1 and type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. As always, I want to answer all of your questions, okay? And I can't wait to hear from you. I want to do a big shout out to Ying. Ying joining us from Brooklyn. Ying, it's good to see you on Facebook. And Elsa, let me know, where are you logging in from? Because you've been here many times, and it's always great to see your name come up. I want to know where you're logging in from. Okay, so let me take a sip of water. And one more big shout out to my girl, Debbie. Guys, Debbie Wright-Thorold is one of the best experts on social media in type 1 diabetes and fitness. Debbie wrote an incredible article for us a couple years ago called How to Do P90X with Type 1 Diabetes. It's one of the best articles that I've ever come across. Check it out, guys, on GLUCOSEZONE.com. And Debbie, it's good to have you here. Okay, now, so let's start off. If we're going to be talking about insulin, it's very, very important that we start off at the beginning with what is insulin, okay? Insulin is a regulatory hormone that is central to fat and carbohydrate metabolism in your body. Insulin causes the absorption of glucose into your liver and muscle tissue stored as glycogen, and it causes the absorption of glucose into your fat cells stored as triglycerides. It also simultaneously inhibits fat metabolism from occurring in your body. All right, now, I'm going to say that again because it's so important to understand, and I need you to stay with me here, okay? Almost everybody that has diabetes understands the relationship between insulin and glucose, right? Insulin causes the absorption of glucose into your liver, muscle, and fat tissue. But what most people don't understand is the equally important relationship between insulin and fat metabolism, and the fact that insulin inhibits fat metabolism. You cannot metabolize fat if you have an inappropriate presence of insulin in your body, okay? It is extremely important that you understand that information that I shared with you if you have a goal of 1, eliminating fluctuations in glucose levels, 2, weight loss, okay? Now, I reference a lot, guys, the parking lot analogy that we use to help people understand where and how glucose is stored in your body. I really want you to check out that article. It's also on GLUCOSEZONE.com because that's going to help you understand the relationship in each individual organ and tissue that insulin interacts with, okay? But the point that I'm trying to communicate to you right now is that insulin has a relationship with both glucose and fat metabolism. All right, now, let me do a couple shout outs, okay? Jennifer Ortiz joined us on Facebook. It's always great to have people on Facebook, guys. We've been focused a lot on YouTube. I want to ask you, if you enjoy our programming, share this video on Facebook. Share it right now, okay? I also want to do a big shout out to Mela and to Melissa joining us from Sacramento, okay? Now, let me talk a little bit about Mela, okay? Mela, I hope you don't mind, because Mela shared with us earlier in our exercise broadcast that she had started green juicing, okay? And that she was already starting to notice that she was feeling better, and she was starting to notice that her blood glucose levels were coming into a much, much, much healthier range, okay? So there is a specific reason why we recommend green juicing as really the only specific piece of nutritional advice that we give here in the GlucoSezone, okay? The reason why we recommend green juicing is when you consume green juice, especially for breakfast, you are doing two things that will cause positive changes in your body. The first thing is you are consuming all of the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that your body needs. And that is critical towards satiation. Many people are constantly hungry even though they are overweight, okay? Where if you think about it, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you be hungry if you had an overabundance of macronutrients, okay? What's important to understand is that many of our hunger cues come from the lack of micronutrients present in our body. It's the micronutrients that our body craves and signals to us to eat food, okay? Very important that you understand that. And I'll use a simple example to put that into context for you. Have you ever noticed that if you eat a serving of broccoli, you have 3 or 4 pieces of broccoli, and basically your body will tell you, I'm done, right? I can't actually eat any more broccoli, okay? Whereas you could go to McDonald's, you could get a Big Mac, fries, a 6-piece chicken McNugget, and a lemonade, and you're still hungry like 2 hours later. Why is that? Why would that be? The reason why that is because something like broccoli is extremely high in micronutrient value, whereas something like a Big Mac and fries is extremely low in micronutrient value. Okay? Now, the second thing is when you consume green juice, if you make it the right way, and I'm going to ask Laura to post the article that we wrote, The Best Food to Eat Before Exercise with Diabetes, because I really, really break it down in that article, and I want you to read it. But what I talk about in that article is when you consume green juice, you fill your body with all the micronutrients it needs with very, very little carbohydrate. When you consume very, very little carbohydrate, especially combined with high fiber, you create a very, very low requirement of insulin in your body. And when you create a low requirement or low presence of insulin in your body, you enable your body to perform fat metabolism and lipid utilization. When you enable your body to perform fat metabolism and lipid utilization, all of a sudden, those reservoirs of energy that are also known as love handles, okay, those now become available as sources of energy because you have reduced the presence of insulin. And remember, guys, it's the presence of insulin that determines whether or not you are going to utilize lipids or utilize glucose. And when I say utilize lipids, that means fat metabolism. Okay? All right. Now, big shout out to Juan, my man Juan, sharing this programming on Facebook. Guys, Juan actually brought up a really, really important thing last week that I just want to talk about again. Juan shared that basically he was having frustration with, as a person living with type 1 diabetes, he was having a lot of trouble getting his A1C below 6.5. And I totally understand that frustration, and I want to share with everybody who's watching that has type 1 diabetes that it's very important that you don't create situations of disappointment and resentment through unrealistic expectations, number one. And number two, you understand the realities of what is actually okay and not okay. Generally speaking, for somebody with type 1 diabetes, your goal should be to have an A1C of 7 or below. Now, my last 2 A1C tests that I had done was, most recently was a 6.6, and the time before that was a 6.3, okay? Now, those are great results for me for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm an extremely active person. I go on live TV multiple times a week and perform exercise, okay, while managing my diabetes. That's a very challenging thing. And anybody who's a professional that has to be on stage or on the game or basically in front of people can relate to that pressure of managing diabetes. So in my case, I'm really happy and okay with having blood sugar levels between 100 and 140, okay? The other reason why I'm okay with that is because that's okay. All of the research shows, all of the studies show that if you keep your A1C below 7, you dramatically reduce the risks associated with uncontrolled hyperglycemia, okay? So I really want you to embrace that. If you're listening right now and you're either feeling frustrated or basically you're really feeling challenged with getting your A1C under control, just start with an A1C of 7, okay? That is a great goal. And if you can get it below there, you're basically in bonus territory, okay? Now, let me do a big shout out. Lawana, where's Lawana logging in from, okay? Lawana just asked us, thank you for the article. Do you have to have green apple and ginger? Okay, that is a fantastic question. So the short answer is, Lawana, no. You do not have to have green apple and ginger if you don't like it. That article that we just posted, that's an example. There's a basic formula that I use for my green juicing and something that you can embrace. And it is a 3-to-1 ratio of dark green leafy vegetables to fruits, okay? So let me give you an exact example of literally what I did this morning. I took a big bag of spinach and I filled up a NutriBullet with it. I then took half a cup of frozen fruit and put it in with the spinach. So I had this much spinach, about this much fruit. And in the case, the fruit that I used this morning was frozen, sorry about that, was frozen strawberries and frozen banana. But the point was there was a very, very small amount of fruit. I then filled the NutriBullet up with water, blended it, and drank it. Now, to give you a guideline for what the green juice should taste like, the ginger, the question about the ginger definitely spices up the drink, and there are positive qualities and in vitamins and nutrients that are in ginger, but you don't necessarily have to drink it. But I want to give you a guideline for when you are creating your green juice. If you drink your green juice, okay, and you take a sip of it and basically you're like, that was delicious, and you lick your lips, you probably made it wrong, okay? The green juice should not taste like a fruit smoothie. The green juice should taste like green juice. It should have a slightly bitter taste. Now, I put strawberry and banana in it, so I tasted that fruit, but it certainly should not taste sweet. Your taste buds will tell you if it's too sweet, okay? And don't get fooled by, green smoothies and we talked about this in other diabetes talks, so I'm not going to totally go into it, but basically, don't be fooled by marketing that markets a juice as green juice, but then you look at the ingredients and it's like pineapple, banana, orange, apple, strawberry, and kale, right? 5 fruit, 1 dark green leafy vegetable. No, that is not the formula. It's the exact opposite. Okay? All right. Now, we've got a ton of questions coming through here, okay? And I want to answer them. So the first question is, and I want to thank Hanan. Hanan joined us on Facebook. Hanan, I want to know where you're logging in from, and I want to make sure that I'm pronouncing your name correctly, okay? Hanan shared with us that actually what happened to her was that she lost weight. She was 55 kilograms and now down to 46, and she's using Humalog. What should I do to gain weight? All right, that is a very, very good question. So most of the time, guys, we're talking about weight loss, okay? And just to kind of summarize and wrap up what I just said, and I'm happy to go into more detail with this, but to summarize it, if your goal is to lose weight, you need to reduce the presence of insulin, okay? Reducing the presence of insulin to a healthy level is what enables healthy fat metabolism, okay? That's number one. And testing your blood glucose is the way that you're going to know if you're doing that correctly. So if you are reducing the presence of insulin and you're achieving flatline glucose levels, you know that you are getting into a more and more healthy fat metabolism state. But if you are testing your blood sugar and your blood sugar is super high, you've basically reduced your insulin levels too low, or you're consuming too much carbohydrate. All right? And that definitely is a balance that you need to achieve and that you need to talk with your healthcare provider about, or reach out to one of our digital coaches. And both Laura and Lorianne are people we have on staff, are master's level and above nutritionists that can help you with that fine-tuning of balancing carbohydrate consumption, protein consumption, and insulin levels. All right, now, to answer your question, Hanan, okay, if you are taking Humalog, so I'm assuming, Hanan, that you have type 1 diabetes. Do me a favor, let me know if that's the case, okay? I'm assuming you have type 1. So if your goal is to gain weight and you have type 1 diabetes, you want to do 2 things. You want to be exercising frequently, okay, doing high repetition weightlifting. High repetition weightlifting is going to stimulate muscular hypertrophy. What muscular hypertrophy means is the growth of the muscle cell. You then want to follow that up with the consumption of protein and healthy starch, healthy vegetable-based starchy vegetables. Okay, I mean healthy starchy vegetables. All right, so what is a healthy starchy vegetable and why am I recommending that? A healthy starchy vegetable is a vegetable that contains carbohydrate. All right, so here are some examples. I'm going to give you my top favorites. Sweet potatoes are absolutely, without question, my favorite starchy vegetable. A sweet potato contains a fairly high amount of carbohydrate, But the actual carbohydrate from an organic from an organic chemistry perspective is designed to be stored as glycogen. What that means is the carbohydrate from sweet potato is designed to be stored in your muscles. That is very different than the carbohydrates from certain fruits, which are, from an organic chemistry perspective, designed to be stored as triglycerides. Okay? And that is a subtle but very, very important thing to understand if you are trying to transform your body in a positive way. Because I'm assuming, Hanan, that you want to gain muscle. Okay? If you want to gain muscle, you need to be consuming foods that are healthy, starchy vegetables, okay? Combining that with the consumption of protein, and then you definitely have to take insulin. If your doctor has prescribed you Humalog, you need to be taking that. And for me, I take Humalog myself, okay? So I am very conscious, and I really try to basically, when I eat foods, I'm not shy with taking Humalog, mostly because my food consumption behavior actually involves a lot of starchy vegetables. I'm very conscious of eating starchy vegetables to maintain the glycogen stores in my muscle. All right? Okay, now, we've got a ton of questions coming in on YouTube. So first off, let me do a shout out to Dottie, joining us from Cleveland, and to my man Singa. Guys, Singa is joining us from Nepal. Singa just shared with me via Facebook an amazing accomplishment where about 6 months ago, he had taken his A1C from up in the 11s to a 5.6, okay, which was phenomenal. Singa reached out to me a couple days ago, and he let me know that his 5.6 had gone down to a 5.3, all right? Singa, you are the man. And I'm sharing that with the group because every step that you get closer to reversing your diabetes, that next level is going to be harder and harder to achieve. So I want to congratulate Singa for basically keeping up the hard work. And guys, every pound that you lose, every pound of fat that you melt away, it's going to get harder and harder to melt away that next pound of fat. But the good news is you're going to be getting in better and better shape. Okay? And that is the reality, okay, of weight loss, all right, with diabetes. All right, now, we've got a great question on Facebook, okay, from Bill Torres. Bill, I want to thank you, okay, for joining us. Bill, where are you logging in from? Let me know, okay? All right, so here's Bill's here's Bill's comments, because he's got a couple things that he's throwing out. It says, I'm pre-diabetic. I have an A1C of 6.2. My sugars are running around the 140s. I just had a hip replacement 2 weeks ago and noticed with no change in diet, my sugars went up to between 170 to 230. I believe it's a lack of exercise, okay? Do you think the chair workouts would help? Watching my hip, precautions, of course. I am someone who teaches karate and will not be kicking or jumping around for a few months. Okay, so, Bill, first off, thank you for joining us. That is a fantastic share. It is a very, very important question. So the answer is, and Bill's joining us from New Jersey. Okay, that's awesome, Bill. Bill, the answer is yes. There's no doubt about it that the lack of exercise, especially if you were active, okay, is going to contribute to an elevation in blood sugar levels. And the chair-based workouts are highly, highly effective, okay? And I really would recommend checking out and doing as many of the chair-based workouts as you can find. Now, we have created a phenomenal series of chair-based workouts on GlucoseZone, okay? And you can find that you can find them on our GlucoseZone channel, but there are other chair-based workouts that definitely are great, and there are also great chair-based weightlifting workouts. So I would really encourage you to pursue all of those things, and thank you for sharing that, okay? All right, now, we've got a couple great commentary and a couple great questions, okay? First off, Lulu just shared with us that she's down 27 pounds since June. Lulu, that is phenomenal, okay? It's so encouraging to everybody in the GlucoseZone when we hear you guys sharing your success with us. It inspires me. It inspires the group, okay? Keep up the good work. All right, now, another great comment, okay, from Ying, okay? Ying just shared with us, okay, that basically she's sharing her day with us, and what she shared was she didn't have time, okay? She didn't have time to get her exercise in the morning, but she did do her green juice, okay? And she was stressing out because she had a checkup, a morning checkup with her doctor. Okay, all right? So she got up, she had her green juice, she also had eggs, toast, black coffee, and was on the run, and basically her blood glucose jumped up to 278, okay? I totally know how frustrating that can be, and we all in this membership, this GlucoseZone worldwide community, can understand exactly, Ying, that frustration of you're in a rush, it's the morning time, you've got anxiety about something that's coming up, you know you need to eat something, you can't get your exercise, and basically you have this explosion in glucose levels. But listen what Ying did, okay? Ying says, okay, she remembered our talks about postprandial glucose excursions and utilizing walking as an effective way to lower blood sugar levels in that case. And she decided to take a 35-minute walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. When she got, okay, to the other side, her glucose level dropped from 278 to 151. She walked another 30 minutes, and by the time she got to her doctor, her number was 105. Ying, that is so awesome, okay? Thank you for sharing the power of exercise as a solution. Now, Ying continues to go on. She says her last A1C, okay, so she went to the doctor. Her last A1C was a 7.9, okay? Her checkup that she went to, where she had all that stress, but she ended up at a 105 because she walked and exercised, her A1C was now at a 6.9. Ying, first off, congratulations. That is so awesome. 7.9 to 6.9 is such a dramatic improvement. That means from going from out of control diabetes to you're now in control and you're on your way to reversing diabetes, okay? She also shared that she's lost 9 pounds since starting GlucoseZone, and her blood pressure levels were normal. So, Ying, thank you so much for sharing that personal information. Guys, we don't talk about this very much, but we have literally had countless people share with us that by following the principles of the GlucoseZone program and by doing these exercises, not only does their diabetes come into healthy levels, but their blood pressure comes into a healthy range. Their triglycerides come into a healthy range. Their lipids come into a healthy range. These comorbidity conditions, getting them under control through the combination of exercise and green juicing makes such a dramatic difference in your life. And Ying, I want to thank you for sharing that, because that little story that you just shared, okay, is exactly what people need to hear, because what you shared was that transition of frustration to success. And for all of you out there that are maybe going through frustration, or you're having a bad diabetes day and basically you're doing everything right, but your numbers are not behaving, don't get frustrated. Just do the next right thing, okay? And if you keep that attitude, you're going to have extremely positive impact, okay? And basically, you're going to have success. All right. Now, man, that was a really, really quick 30 minutes. We've got one more question, okay, from Linda that I want to address, okay? And it's a very important question, and probably it's something that should be the topic for a whole conversation, okay? The question from Linda is, does surgery impact someone's A1C levels? So the short answer is yes. Surgery can impact glucose levels in both a positive or negative way. All right. Now, we had that great share from Bill, who shared with us that his hip replacement was having a negative impact on his glucose levels. And when that's the case, getting exercise any way you can is absolutely key. And I really would recommend chair-based workouts. But there are other surgeries that can be very helpful, okay? And ultimately, they can be helpful to your A1C. And ultimately, guys, you need to talk with your healthcare provider about what is the appropriate thing for you, okay? What is the appropriate remedy or solution for your particular condition? And you need to trust your healthcare provider. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me. This has been a super inspiring talk and GlucoseZone day today. There were some phenomenal shares. I really want to thank everybody on Facebook, especially Bill and Ying, for sharing that very personal stories, motivating everybody here, okay? I want to congratulate everybody who's having success. Big shout out to Lulu, okay, for losing 27 pounds, okay? And guys, keep up the great work. I want to hear from you. I want to hear how you are taking the fight to diabetes. You may never know who you are inspiring, who's sitting on a chair right now, sitting on a couch, feeling frustrated. Something that you share could be that moment that changes their life. All right? Okay, that is it. We're going to sign off tonight. We will see you on Tuesday. Thank you so much.